Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Bleeding Cryptos Market Update. Today is Wednesday, March 5th, 4:31 a.m. local time. I hope you're having a good day, morning, or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Let me start off by giving my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. This is to be used for entertainment purposes only for your fantasy paper trading. All right, guys. So I just saw it's been a little while since I've done a market update for Twitter. So I figured I'd give you guys some ideas of what we're looking at, catch you up on some of the updates that I've been giving my groups. So I have the educational Discord channel where we go over all the tools and market structures and all that good stuff and all the data for the liquidations and the heat and how we've been moving in the market. And then I update the Telegram channel with just a cliff notes. It's not really so much an educational, but at least they know the targets that we're looking at that we mapped out in the Discord channel. And this is one of those charts. This is a chart from yesterday. So yesterday chart, we were here, and I did not. We anticipated coming down. I didn't know how far down. So I had two scenarios and two reasons why I was looking for a lower target. The first one was to come down here and fill this inconsistency, this imbalance in the price action, and the second one was going a little further down to completely fill that CME gap at 77,400. And there's one last big contract down here. There's other contracts, but I usually focus on the ones that are about 160, 170 million and higher. And there was one big one left down here. They don't always grab every single one of them. So again, it's one of those things that you have to use just a little bit of margin. And by experience using this data, it allows you to kind of map a good projection of where they may go. And what we end up doing, we end up going to the first scenario. So we have one scenario where we go to here, bounce to here, and then reject and come back down. And then we had another one, we go a little further down, and then we were to bounce. So like I mentioned before, we went ahead and went to the first scenario number one. Now we closed the gap that we created on Friday, the CME gap on Friday. That happened on this drop. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove this actually. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to clean that up, and I'm going to go ahead and clean this. Actually, I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to update my Telegram channel in just a little while. I kind of woke up a little earlier than anticipated this morning, and so I haven't had an update yet. So I want to give you guys an update before I start my day because I haven't given you one in a while. So for right now, I'm looking at this as a target. Let me explain to you why. This area here has very, very high confluence in here. We have, first of all, we have the 50 daily EMA that we've been rejecting from for quite a while now. Every time we come right up to the underside, we reject and come all the way back down. And that's why I'm calling a move back down. We cannot expect anything different when the market has given us the exact same pattern every single time. We go up, we give it all back. We go up, we give it all back. So we have to presume the same thing is going to play out. Now, I'll talk about the invalidation. I'll talk about what I'm looking for so that we can start not getting excited, but start expecting a pivot in the overall market. Right now, on the daily time frame, we have a confirmed downtrend with lower highs and lower lows. So there's no disputing that. We haven't had any type of reversal, and I'll show you what the beginning of that reversal looks like. But for right now, let's go with the higher probability scenario, which is a repeat of what we've been doing for the past few months. So for right now, like I mentioned, moving up to here would be what I'm looking for rejection. Now, the 50 EMA is one reason, but here's another one. Look, I'm going to go to the daily time frame just to show it to you a little bit better. So we've got two trend lines. We've got two diagonal trend lines here. And these diagonal trend lines, they converge. Here's the first one here, first of all. And then the second one is this one right here. We have rejection, 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 rejection once again. This one here was really funny because we were doing a market update video, and I said, okay, if we push above here, most likely we're gonna get taken out here. On the smaller time frame, on the hourly, we pushed up, did a bull flag, went right to it, peaked above it, bull trapped, and then she nuked all the way back down. Again, the same scenario that we continue to see time and time again. And here, again, we're just putting in lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and lower lows. So it'd be foolish to think that it's going to anything different is going to happen until we start seeing some strength and some reversal market structures. But for now, that's why I'm looking at this here. This area converges right on those resistance points and the 50 EMA. Now, there is a big contract right up here at 97.636. So here's the thing. Because I've noticed that quite a few people, quite a big accounts have been noticing the same thing when it comes to the daily 50 EMA and seeing that rejection. In my mind, it's just almost like playing 3D checker. You have to, 3D chess, 3D chess, where you have to try to anticipate the opponent's moves many plays in advance. So bear with me on this, and this is just my own opinion, and this is kind of the way I try to process my thinking based on the liquidation data, watching that very closely and seeing how often and how well that's been playing out. So in my mind, well, first of all, not in my mind, but the actual facts, the data shows us that every time we get to a certain level of liquidations, the market pivots, washes them all out, creates a new liquidation delta, then pivots that and takes them all out. And that's what we've been doing back and forth, back and forth. So with that in mind, in my mind, what I'm looking for is if we come right back up to the same exact point where we continue to reject, not only but everyone else and all the high follower accounts that I've been noticing that have been talking about this and all of their followers, they're going to have the bright idea because they're going to think they're the only ones thinking this. Well, hell, if we keep on rejecting on the 50 EMA, I'm going to short. I'm just going to go balls deep on a short from this area. It's a no-brainer. I can't lose. When you have enough people thinking that way, what'll end up happening is we'll get a short squeeze. We'll get a push up here to make people think, okay, now this time it's different. And then when enough people do that, and they flip bearish, the market pushes up. Now, when it pushes up, I like having a reason where it would push up to. And because we have a big contract here, I think it's $185 million, I can see him pushing up here, grabbing that contract, and then nuking it down. Because what that'll do is that'll liquidate the high leverage APIN shorts. Then it's going to create a, oh my God, here we go. This is a reversal. Pile in those longs. So it'll do two things. Wipe out the shorts, high leverage shorts, late shorters, and trap the bulls, and then they slam her down. Look at this. This one here was really funny because in the daily time frame it doesn't look like much, but on the small time frame, the hourly time frame, that's exactly what they did here. They just pushed it up enough to think, okay, now we're finally breaking up. We're going to have a reversal. And then look what they did. Basically, they put in a signature move. It's one of those things that I talk about very often where we run up a little bit higher from the previous wick and then we nuke. Not every time, but very often they like to do that. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if everyone's looking for here, everyone's looking for that 50 daily EMA, they're going to want to short there. They're going to pile in. Market's going to bring it up, liquidate those guys because from here, let me show you this in percentage wise. From here to here, you're talking about 3%, 3.3%. It may not seem that much, but when you're using a 100x leverage, you're liquidated right there. When you're using a 50x leverage, you're liquidated right there. So all the big high leverage players, they're going to get wiped out. They're going to get wiped out on that move there. Wipe them out. New longs will be built. Then they'll slam her down. That is my projection, and that's what I'm looking for. And right now, we'll go to the smaller time frames, kind of analyze what we've done so far. But that's what I've been looking for since yesterday. Of course, the market's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in a few hours or in a day. It takes a while. The market is not in a hurry. Only we are. So we got to wait for the market to play out. And if it doesn't reach up here, I like to start analyzing in the lower time frames what we've done and what could be the possibility of a non-completion. So we may not complete this. If we don't, have we hit a level here that is consistent with maybe some technicals that that I'm giving it too much credit. Maybe this is giving the market too much credit, and we've already hit some technical. So we're going to look at that in a minute. Actually, I'm going to grab another chart. Let me see here. Let me grab this here. Let me grab this chart. Do I need this anymore? Real quick. Let me see something real quick. Okay, we came down to 786. Okay, good. Go. So we bounced around. Okay, great. All right, so let me do this. I'm just going to hide the EMAs. We don't need these right now. All right, great. So let's do this. We had a bounce, so low, a high, lower high. Excuse me, higher low, and we're working on this, and we're hoping to get a higher high, but we don't know just yet. So let me grab that. Let me grab this. Let me see what we've done. I just want to see if we hit the lower high rule. So that's what I'm looking for right now. I want to see if we've hit it, because that can be a little signal telling us, hey, maybe we're not going to go up to my target, but we've already hit, we hit 618 or 706 or even 786. Let's see here. Yep, there it is. Okay, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Give me 1 second. I'm pausing it. Sorry, I had a sneeze and I almost lost it. I almost did not have a chance to pause the video. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is exactly why I wanted to run this. I wanted to see if we're not going to complete this, because you can see here we're stalling out here. What would cause it to stall out? All right, so that's why I pulled the lower high rule here. So lower high, and we're hitting the candle body's hitting 618, and the candle is pretty much at is getting rejected at 706. So this allows me to give myself that margin of completion, meaning that I don't want to get hung up that it has to go here, because often we'll put a projection, something like this, and we'll have all the data. The market doesn't quite make it there, but we sit there and say, nope, it's got to go there. I did the TA and it has to go there. And we lose sight that we're not always going to be right. And there's always a reason why things may not play out to where we think. And if that is the case, and we're hitting technicals that are very accurate, like lower highs into those 618 fib counts, that we need to reassess what we had originally thought and pivot to the new plan and create a new plan. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now. This is where I'm expecting. I don't control the market. I'm not a market maker. So what if we don't make it here? What's another reasonable level where we can start going down? Because remember, we're putting in lower highs and lower lows. So the next thing that I expect to see is a lower low. So if it's not going to happen on this touch, where could it happen? Well, guess what? We just hit the lower high rule. Absolutely perfect with the candle body as it stands right now, 618. So now what this allows me to do is, if we start closing these 4-hour candles underneath the 618, and guess what? We start to roll over, I'm no longer going to be anticipating this. My plan now has to shift that we put in a lower high, and we're going to be coming down and putting a lower low. Now, keep in mind that this is the 4-hour chart. So in a daily chart, it looks very different. This isn't a lower high. Okay. Let's see here. I want to explain this in a manner that won't be too confusing. So let's start. Let me do this. Let me go to the daily time frame, and let me show you what I'm talking about as far as the macro downtrend at the moment. We got a high. You put a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. We drop down. Okay. We're pushing up here, but you got to keep in mind that when we're expecting a lower low, it's just not going to go straight down. And that's the trouble that most people have. I mean, even in here, look, as we put these here, look at all these pushes up. Look at all these pushes up before we came down. Look, we had a low here, we had a low here. Then we finally put in that macro lower low. So I know that there is still a possibility inside here of a pivot. Great. If it wants to do that, that's great. But for now, these pushes, I've got to measure these pushes. And these pushes, look, are playing out right into the fib counts, right into 786, right into 618, 706. So we're within those parameters that we could shift and start breaking out of here on the lower time frames. However, on the higher time frames, this doesn't mean anything. Absolutely anything. So in order to see a pivot on the higher time frames, I like having a 2-point rule. So for me to see a 2-point rule reversal, meaning that we have to break the prior 2 lower highs to start shifting the idea that we're not going to go lower, that we're going to start going higher. Now, I want you to listen carefully to what I said. Start doesn't confirm, all right? So once we break above here and we start closing and consolidating, I start to think, okay, now what's my confirmation? We break above here, that's my confirmation that we're not putting a lower low and that we're going higher. All right, so that's kind of how I'm looking at it. But when we look at it in a zoomed in, right now, this is the only thing I'm focused on. Because we have this push here, I'm expecting that this higher high on these on these lower time frames should look something like this. Should look here. My doggy's playing with her ball. See? We get above here, we close that, we now invalidate the lower time frame, lower high. Which means that now I'm going to be looking for a continuation, okay, of this bigger move, the harmonic of this move, okay? That's the harmonic of this bigger move here on the higher time frames. I just didn't do that. That's the only thing I didn't do. There's that bounce, okay? I'm just showing it to you in a little bit more zoomed in manner. So ultimately, I want to see this to start shifting into a reversal market structure. But I understand that this move here isn't going to go just straight up in one candle. There's going to be a stair step. And within that stair step, that's what I'm doing right now. That's where I'm in. I'm zooming in and analyzing the small little moves that will lead us into that bigger harmonic pattern to start shifting and getting us out of this downward pattern. And so far on the zoomed in lower time frames, we're not doing anything. There's no strength. We can't even complete the harmonic pattern on the macro. So if we do, guess where that brings us? Look, just so it can make a little bit more sense, and you can see some confluence. Look at that. Look at that. I can't make this shit up. Look at that. Right there. That bull trap area. Where everyone's going to be thinking they're geniuses and shorting here. Market pushes up a little bit higher, completes the harmonic pattern, wipes out the shorts, traps the longs, and down she goes. Ultimately, I'm looking for something like this to complete or get close to completing. Guys, people are freaking out with this chart, and they have to understand, I don't make the rules. I don't tell the market where to stop. I don't tell the market where to go, but I'm not going to stick my head in the sand and ignore the data. Gaps, they get filled. We filled quite a bit. We filled over 2/3 of it. This could be it. This is the shelf that says this is strong support. What it doesn't say is that it has to go all the way there. Nothing says that. And that's the part that I think people don't quite seem to understand, and they're freaking out. They see this and they think that it has to go. This is the target, because if we're flushing out, I anticipate this area to be strong support. Doesn't mean it has to go there. Okay, there are different levels, 2/3 of the way. One area that I am focused on is this one right here, because this is the breakout right here. This was the last touch of the 8-month channel that we were stuck in, and this was a breakout candle that we never came back and backtest. So for me, I would have loved to have seen that, and I still believe that at some point we're going to touch it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen now. It can happen later. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, we got so close to it. Another push down for the last lower low, that would be ideal to finally close that and resolve that backtest. But just because I think it or I want it doesn't mean it's going to happen. And that's the problem, that people's emotions are so high right now that they fail to see, when people are trying to put charts and videos out, that they hold them to these standards. Like, if I post this, that's exactly where it has to go. No, that's the data. The data is the data, and we'll see together where we ended up going. Look, 2/3 of it, that's a pretty good completion. Not completion, excuse me. That's a pretty good fill off of this gap. And that may be it. That's all we may get. But if it isn't, are you prepared? That's the whole reason we analyze things, to be prepared for both scenarios. Now, I'll give it to you here in the macro, in the macro view. If we get above this dotted line, this will start to shift, like I mentioned on the other chart. Here are the two lower highs. This break up here and consolidation is what I would expect to start seeing a reversal pattern. This is my confirmation, 106,700. That confirms downtrend is over. We've invalidated the downtrend, and now we are showing reversal signs. Obviously, we have to get above the 109. I guess for better, terminology, this should be our confirmation, obviously. But for me, it's going to be 106.7. At that point, if we can close above here, that tells me that we're going to either go back to 109 or more than likely put in a new all-time high, because I'm not in the camp that says that this cycle is over. I do believe it's going to continue. I could be wrong. There's a big portion of the community that believes that this cycle is over. That's the prerogative. They can believe whatever they believe. I'm not going to believe it until I see it. So I'm going to continue to have a bull bias. However, I'm also going to be conscientious of the data that's in front of me on the lower time frames to see how things are framing up, where that weakness or the strength is starting to show up. There's no strength at all right now on any time frame. So for now, I got to continue, like I said, to think that we're going to go down. I just don't know if it's going to happen from here, or from here, but I'm prepared. So if it goes up here, guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon. There it is. We're going up now. Nope. Because even if we do go up, I know it could be a very high probability it's a bull trap. Whereas Twitter is going to see this and say, we're back, we're back. This happens, and they're going to be, I told you so. Guys, there are so many people patting themselves in the back. Here. I bought the bottom, that's it. I knew it, this was it. And we came right back the next day. We came right back. And those guys were quiet. People are patting themselves in the back, calling bottoms way too early. No confirmation that's a bottom. But everybody is so eager to want to impress everyone else, to want to seem like they're geniuses, when there's no strength, nothing. This is a higher low. It's not a strong one. A strong one would have been respecting 382.50. This would have been a strong higher low. Right here. If it would have respected this, hell yeah. It didn't. It went all the way back to the bottom, to the very, very bottom, the last point, the very last tick, and even broke that. Just a wick, though. It didn't close. So no, that's not, there's no strength. You can't be calling a bottom. People would want to keep on calling a bottom like it really matters. Like you're going to get some sort of prize. And when they get it wrong, they just stay quiet. It's just like, who cares? Let's just find out what's happening on the macro view, on the smaller, lower times, how we're going to get there. If we don't get there, what to expect. If we come up here, what to be careful for. If we push up higher, be very, very cautious. And if the market wants to continue to push, let it. Show it to us. Prove it to us. Like I said before, get above here. Get above $99,600. Get above that and regain all of the support that we were inside of here. Get out of all of this resistance. Flip that, not with the wick, but with the constant at least 3 days. Give me 3 days in here as consolidation. Then we can start saying, okay, guys, you know what? We're starting to see strength again, but we need to have follow through. Follow through will give us the confirmation, and then we'll see what the market gives us at that point. All right, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully I made it short enough where I can still post it on Twitter and I don't have to upload it to YouTube. They only give me so much time, so hopefully I met that time. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. But for now, let's see on the smaller time frames. Let's just look at this here and see what we get. Have a good day, everyone, and I'll keep you guys. You know what? I'm going to update you guys tomorrow. Let's see what we did because I'm very curious. I don't know. I'm very curious myself. Did we put in a lower high here and we're going to start coming back down and we couldn't complete the macro harmonic pattern? Or do we actually finish that macro harmonic pattern and we break out and we start showing a lower time strength, but just enough to get us to one of these two targets? I don't know. We'll know together tomorrow. We'll see what the market has done in 24 hours, and I'll update you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.